work that we're doing here is not going to stop when it comes to these type of discussions. It's going to be for us and by us here on this platform when the media is telling us to look the other way. Your support is what helps us move forward. Join patreon.com/like it or not. Help us grow.
Like it or not, y'all. 2023. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for like it or not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. Yes, it's time for like it or not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show like it or not. Rebecca Azor is in the house. You know she got a funny story to tell. Talking politics, culture, or real life-ish. I live in life in the ATL. Benjamin, yeah, that's my man. He's always coming up with the master plan. Politics, scheming, or trying to find the meaning of life. And while the feds keeps us in strife. I'm your DJ. I really don't need no introduction right now, but you know what? I stay dropping them jams. Y'all know who I am. Good hope, dad jokes, culture-ish, politics. What you're hearing right now was the culmination of all of this. I started out with the mic in my hand, then I graduated to a plethora of fans. I love bringing joy to the people. It makes me feel great, makes me feel regal. I do what I do for you. 8 p.m. Friday, you know how we do. Let's go. It's time for like it or not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. It's time for like it or not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. Like it or not, y'all. 2023. Let's start this damn show. Let's go.
Like it or not starts now.
It felt like the music cut off just a little shorter than normal,
Right.
but it probably didn't. It's
It probably
just us.
didn't. I'm used to being like really fast with it. And sometimes he give us the longer version, I guess, watching to see if we're really ready, if we're really in our seats. And then
Oh, there is two different versions. There's the long version and there's the short version. Yep. Yep.
And I found out about the longer version when I was rushing one day to get to my seat. And I'm like, okay, I done sat down and we still ain't start yet. Like, what's up with that? What's up with that?
Well, good morning. Let me do DJ Exclusive's part since he's out. Good morning, everybody. Rebecca, how you doing?
Yeah, good morning, and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care, and not. What is the rest of it? Oh my goodness!
And not care who doesn't like it,
and not care who doesn't like it. Man, it's been that kind of week. Wow,
you didn't even know you made that up.
I know. I didn't even. And I picked that song, the third song in the playlist.
That's crazy. He said something about. I don't know.
Busted it open.
I was like,
plugs.
He said, finish coming. And I'm like,
did I really choose that song? I was in a different place.
That was crazy.
Pandemic, clearly.
Cheers to the pandemic. And what's so crazy is I actually was like thinking about it. Sometimes I think about the pandemic and I go in my mind to, oh my God, I was so depressed. Like I'll go through my pictures and be like, damn, on this day, I thought I was so overweight. On this day, I thought I was so ugly. On this day, I thought that I was not going to make it to the next day because this thing was sweeping through our families. And then I go into versions of photos and I'm like, oh, we was lit on that day virtually. Oh, shoot. Oh, I went and took a vacation on that day. I started really working out on this day and I ain't never looked back since. Oh, I told that man he will never treat me like that ever again on this day. Oh, baby. Yeah. Pandemic definitely. So I have those two places in the pandemic. Like my job ain't gonna find me no more because now I know they only paying for the building. I actually was able to work from home and still do my thing. Like those things were coming out.
Those, yeah, I remember those clips.
Yeah,
I remember
right. Those we were so up and down, left and right. Like it was just. I was thinking about how me and Ben were going at it one day on air. No decorum.
None. Oh my goodness. There were some other days. There's some episodes that we have had to remove.
Like who was that person? Who were those people?
People who were honestly traumatized by what was going on in the world. What's still going on in the world, mind you, but we've adapted and we've just absorbed and adjusted to the insanity of the world. But at the beginning of the pandemic, man, we were like, is this really life?
Is this first? It was like, oh shoot, let's throw something on the grill. We gotta.
We thought it was going to be a hurricane party.
Right.
We thought maybe a year-long hurricane party. Then it became a 2-year-long hurricane.
People started dying.
3 years.
People were dying, and then it was getting.
Like, oh well, forget about it. It ain't happening. And 5 years later, that hurricane party is.
People started dying a little closer to home. Now we're watching virtual funerals of people that we couldn't get to. The boomers, including my father, were afraid that this thing was going to take them out. That it was something sent. Like there was no actual information. We were just learning. We were learning with the doctors.
As we
were learning as we went. My cousin, who was a nurse, who is a nurse, it benefited her because she didn't know where she was going to get a job. And next thing you know, she became a travel nurse. It was great. But what she saw will forever stick with her. What she's seen, people weren't. She would see people, she would get them in, and they wouldn't leave. Like those were the stories. My friend, I went to her wedding. She had a small wedding during the pandemic. The next week, her husband was in ICU.
Oh my goodness!
From COVID. The next week, so for months, he was in the ICU on a respirator. I had a friend that I worked with in office before they even told us what it was called. We were going, COVID-19 before that was even. We were saying it.
Coronavirus.
The coronavirus. And he was sitting in the office one day and I was like, you're not well. So I told him, stop smoking those cigarettes. But it was just sounding very respiratory, only to find out that he wasn't coming to work for the next few weeks. And I'm like, what's going on? And I had to travel. And I'll never forget that February, I went to go at a speaking event. I had that whole year planned. I said, oh my God, I'm going to be living. I'm going to be doing this. I had a speaking engagement in New York, and that day I went to the speaking engagement. I left out of the speaking engagement, and it was snowing, and I was trying to find my way to back to my brother's. That's where I was staying, and I remember them shutting everything down that day while I was in New York because a case had came up in New York, and they started to say, "Okay, we can't go here. We can't go here in New York." And then I was like, dang, I'm stuck in New York. And I got on a plane, came here, was going to work. And then that's when I found out my friend was not at work for weeks. Couldn't find him, couldn't get to his cell phone, no, nothing. Only to find out months later, he indeed had it and he was in the ICU himself as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, according to so many people today, it never happened.
Yes.
COVID wasn't real.
They're trying to make it seem like it was one of those things. I forgot what they call them, but like something that we knew we experienced. What is that thing called? But they're saying that we didn't experience. Like
a mass delusion.
Like Kazam.
Kazam.
Like the movie Kazam that we thought had Sinbad was the genie in. Somebody in the comment section knows the name to this thing, but they're trying to make it seem like this really never happened. And I can assure you, within 10 years or so, they're going to act like this never happened.
Well, no, yeah, they're marching towards that now. They're trying to hold people accountable who got us the vaccine, except Donald Trump. They're not going to hold him. They're not going to hold him accountable because they love him. But they're trying to. There's an actual move to remove anyone in the military who had anything to do with COVID and the vaccines. And they're really organizing to penalize anyone who believed the pandemic was real, anyone who helped with the vaccine, and anyone who took the vaccine. Their fangs are out.
And
the flat earther fangs are out.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And it doesn't even matter what we'll try to fight or say. Now it's well documented on the internet. The Mandela effect. Thank you, my little brother. That's my little brother.
Oh, look at that. Wait, put little brother back on the screen.
The Mandela effect.
Jonas.
Yes, Jonas.
Your twin.
That's that's an old picture from like over 10 years ago. But yeah, that's my twinsy. That's my mini. For sure. Cool. Yeah. Shout out to Jonas. Thank you for watching, bro.
Coming through with the Mandela. You know
that made my cheeks smile. Thank you for watching, Jonas. I appreciate it. Yes, the Mandela effect. Thank you guys for bringing that in. But I know that with that, they're gonna try to make the COVID, because that's so black of me. They're gonna try to make the COVID, but they're gonna try to make COVID seem like that, and like we didn't experience it when we know we did, or that
Right.
feeling. But I say all that to say, I don't know where we were, where you guys were who are watching in that time. I know we all went through a depressed state together. I know there were even times we had some irregular highs, and experienced deep down low lows. A lot of people were displaced, in so many different ways. I'm talking about without work, housing. We were hungry. Everybody tried to work the system as best as they could, just like our politicians were doing, and got a slap on the wrist, got a way out. If you want to call it PPP loans, whatever. Some people, like, it's a lot that we went through during that time. And I feel like it's one of those things. I feel like if we can go back, I would do it differently. Right?
Would you?
I would.
What part?
I would do it differently when I found out, like, my job was trying to scare us into going back, and at that time there were laws put in place where that we didn't have to. All of that fear that I built up, where I said, "Oh my God, I can't lose this job. This is all I have. This is it." When I decided to take a mental break, and remember when they penalized me for taking a mental break? I got no pay. I was scared that I was going to lose my home. I was scared that I was going to be on the street, when there were people who were actually out on the street for furloughed, couldn't pay for anything. We're out on the street. Landlords were getting hit. Residents were getting hit. Like, everybody was getting hit. Backed up on, if your car got broke down and you thought you was going to take it to the shop and they was going to have that piece, baby, you didn't have a car for a while because the pieces weren't coming in.
But can I say why? Yeah. Because so many of the dock workers were getting sick.
Yes.
And a lot of them died at the beginning of the pandemic.
Remember mass graves?
No, they don't. They
won't mention that. Remember what we were seeing on television? They were dumping bodies in white bags in mass graves because they thought they thought it would go. The virus would go to other people just in death.
Well, not just that, but the mortuaries were backed up. See, remind me later on, Rebecca, to tell me about your friend that's the traveling nurse, because I know she could tell
my
the story.
cousin.
And your cousin and the morticians. Like, I've reached out. I want to talk to more of the morticians, because they made so much money. I hate to put it in that context, but they were sad, but also like, dang, we ain't never had bodies like this. Yeah. And they were piling up, so much that normally you could get a funeral in about a week's time. During the beginning of the pandemic, it was like a whole month wait for you to be able to bury somebody, because they had that many bodies to get through. Yeah. So in New York, they did start putting some bodies in. I remember that scene, the aerial footage where they had all the bodies in the white bag. I remember.
Yes, that. And Charlie is bringing up great points. On top of that, right? COVID, we were experiencing the abortion ban that came up. We were the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of that was simultaneous. And I know we've mentioned this multiple times, but I want to just give you a scope of all of this that we were dealing with in one sitting. We were not okay mentally, and we're still recovering mentally. That's why I say to give people grace some days, not everybody. People were going up to shoot up grocery stores because they didn't like the way you looked. People, we witnessed a domestic terrorist attack at the Capitol, and they want us to really Mandela effect that too.
Yes.
These things were happening simultaneously. We were losing family members. People's households were becoming broken. It was like people couldn't take care of the children that they were having in that time. Like, it was a lot. People were trying to heal. People were trying to work through it. People who've made it through it, kudos to you. And people who are still working through it, like, kudos to you as well. Because a lot of people just mentally got a hit that it's really hard to recover from, and you're still trying to figure out how to recover from. But even our system is telling us, that happened, get over it.
Go back to work. First it was, oh my goodness, there's just so much. I don't even want to keep talking, Rebecca, because I'm gonna go down a long list.
No, we can go down as long as we want to, but and I talk about even in work, work-wise. I had to challenge my job, who challenged me back, and I challenged them back. I had to challenge them in a space where we're not supposed to. We signed an NDA, we're not supposed to do that. But I had to challenge them because I was watching them tack on so many, which we'll talk about one day, tell all coming soon, tack on so many fees on people, a financial institution. And I had to speak up about it. And because there was a key word that they had to utilize in that time. And the specific department that I was working in was mostly with people with businesses and who were migrants or immigrants. And so at that time, there was a communication thing going on. And those people I would look at who always were doing what they needed to do for their accounts would turn around and it would be random fees. Random fees. And that would get so high, and you don't know if that person was alive or trying to make it through. They weren't worried about calling this company to do anything. They were trying to get through life. Paying this company or doing anything for this company was not at the forefront of their mind.
That's right.
And so when I tackled them, they came at me strong, and I just went back for them. And I feel like they've been on my head ever since, which, as you guys know, it's deuces to them. But, even in my leaving and stuff like that, it's just thinking about the head of my department leaving, because he said, these people need to continue to work from home. They're producing more than they ever have. But also these people who've been working from home during the pandemic should have an option to come back in. But most of them are trying to get their lives back up. And for us to immediately put them in what they were calling a front face posture for the company, that's what they needed. And he left the company in full. And he said, I won't stand by this. I won't stand by this.
Good, man. Yeah. Good. Somebody said in the comment section that there was just so much death around us that we were numb. We had to numb ourselves to it. I had a whole list of friends who died in the first 6 months of the pandemic, like people who were younger than me, people who I had worked with for years. And then now we have a whole revision of history to try to tell us that it never happened. And they're not just trying to rewrite history. Like, these malignant demons are trying to punish everybody who helped get the vaccine out, except for Donald Trump. Obviously, they're not going to punish him, even though he got us. Thank you, Donald Trump, for the vaccine. Thank you for getting the vaccine to us at Operation Warp Speed. It's the only good thing that you did. But these people are trying to not only rewrite history, but they're trying to penalize, literally. Some of them are calling for executions of anyone who had anything to do with the vaccine. And, part of me wants to not give them grace, but this week, I recognize that for a lot of people who are in a part of that cult that denies COVID existed, that's just their way of coping with the trauma, right? They found a narrative that they can hide in and not have to confront the reality that we live in a world that allowed, in America, what was it? We stopped counting deaths at 1.5 million in America.
Yeah.
That's the kind of society.
Yes,
they demanded that we go back to the office even before the vaccine came out. They were like, no, let's go.
We're losing money. We're losing money. We're losing money.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to my father, who is one of the strongest people that I know in my life. And he felt so defeated. Like, he was hearing about his friends passing away or being hospitalized. He was in such a panic. It took so much out of him, y'all. It took so much out of my father. And when I went home, or when I talked to him on the phone, he would just feel so depressed. And then he finally told me, this is something that I've never really heard him say. He said, I was so depressed. I was so depressed. I thought that it was something that was coming to get us 60 plus, to get us out of here. I did not know anything. And I felt like I wasn't going to be here. That, to me, the wear and tear that it's done to us who are trying to fight through, but the older people who really don't go to therapy, who don't do any of those things, that are having to figure that out right now. And they already had to fight through life, already. And now here they are like, damn, I may not make it because of my age. There's nothing for me. I'm, high risk because of my age. And if this thing finds me, it'll take me out. And I can't even see my loved ones because of that. Like, I can't see them and I may just pass away. I know a friend of mine whose mom passed away and she couldn't even go into the hospital. She couldn't see she couldn't see her mom. She couldn't touch her. She couldn't anything, nothing. Everything had to be virtual setup. Everything.
You know what's bad now? I this might just be a COVID show or opening, but what's bad now is you go into the hospitals and the doctors have given up. They don't wear. I went to the hospital in a city, and not a nary mask amongst anybody. Not a doctor, not a nurse. They had a COVID ward, but no mask. And I'm like,
yeah.
So we have now. I want to ask people when they say the pandemic is over, where'd it go? Did we win? Because if not, that means it's not over. But what instead we've done is we've just accepted swimming in COVID. Like America and the world is, particularly America, bathing in COVID. I mean, they're going out and just taking baths. Let's go to the biggest events we can and no mask, no vaccine.
Yeah, we all have been back. People getting sick, don't know if it's COVID. It's okay. It's like no need to check anymore. That's where we are right now because low key we wanted to get back to life, but high key we're never gonna get back to that space. Somebody coughs and it's like, yeah. Somebody sneezes and it's like, I get on the plane. I don't want to be too close to people. So as soon as I get home from any event, it's clean up, wash up, like just make sure I try to do whatever I can and then monitor if I'm coughing or not. And it's so different now, but I do know that it made me want to live life though. And want to see a future for myself beyond the age of 30. It was scary because I was like, damn, what if I don't make it past this age either? Like, it was a lot. We can go through so many stories, so many different things, but you're talking about the mask. David said he has a clip about RFK Jr. comparing masks to enslavement.
Slavery.
Yeah. Yes. Let's take a listen to that.
Oh my goodness, this cracker.
And an NBC film crew came up to me during that convocation, and they asked me why I wasn't wearing a mask, which nobody was except for the NBC film crew. And they said, wasn't I scared of dying of COVID? And I said,
it sounds like you're dying of COVID.
There's a lot worse things than dying. And they said to me, like what? And I said, like living like a slave.
Read the room. Okay, never mind.
You read it.
Never mind.
Like having my children grow up in an America where the Bill of Rights is just an empty piece of paper. In 1776, there was a generation of Americans that were willing to sacrifice their lives, their jobs, their property, their fortunes to give us this Bill of Rights. And upwards of 20,000 of them died to give us this gift.
Ooh, there's so many horrible things I want to say about him.
Long COVID sounding. It's just, he's right here with it. I got a raspy voice naturally, and he sounds like he's about to croak tomorrow because he decided not to wear a mask 3-4 years ago.
That's, I have, don't let me speak on this one because I'm going to call up Sirhan. I'm going to call up whatever disorder his voice has. I'm going to call up. There's just so many things that I would say that would get our channel canceled. So you got this one.
Oh, I don't. Because whatever we saw there was exactly the example that we needed to see. We saw the crowd. It told us everything that we needed to. Because I was going to say, read the room. But then when the room was read, I understand. That's the people that need that. Those are remember the backwoods missing tooth in the front over here talking about, I ain't got no health insurance, all those things. And who are voting for Donald Trump every single day. The same man that told you not to wear no mask, told you to inject, was it bleach or encouraged people to
disinfectant in your blood
and those kind of things. Let's be for real. Everybody in that room probably sounds like the RFK Jr. And they don't care. It's all about being being for America, by America. There's a commercial that plays all the time over here. For America, no, by America, for America, Jasper Jeeps or whatever it is. And when I drove through that city, the man said, it gives me, we don't wear a mask around here because we are Americans. And that's what it gives. Being American means you have to die because what were you fighting against? The virus itself?
No. They were fighting, and they are still fighting for the right to get you sick. And I don't think we really put enough emphasis, or perhaps the administration, the CDC, didn't realize that's the real battle. The real battle was you had a whole bunch of saltines and their Black affiliates who insisted that they had the right to get someone else sick. Just like, did I tell you the story of that maintenance man who came to work on my refrigerator, and he insisted at the door, he didn't want to put a mask on because he said he felt it was his duty to get sick. And I said, if you want money,
you're lying.
No, I'm not. I must have told that to my congregation. I told somebody on the camera, but he literally said that he felt like it was his patriotic duty to get sick. But if he wanted that business, he was going to put on that mask, and he did. And he came on the house and put on. But these folks literally wanted the right to spread their nasty, filthy viruses, just like they've been doing since 1492. Was it 1492 Columbus sailed those? Okay, anyway.
It doesn't matter because I don't like that man Columbus. He done lied so much. We could lie on him. Was it 1535? Who cares? David is in the comments, in our comments, trying to explain what it is that RFK Jr. has. We don't.
Oh, he actually has a disorder?
It's actually a neurological condition. But I'm not going to go into that because you're out here giving misinformation about COVID.
I'm so sad for him.
Man. And
maybe if he had a vaccine, he could have prevented it. Maybe he wouldn't sound like he's gargling like crack rocks. I don't know what's wrong with that saltine. But he needs to stay away from the Black community with his virus. He wants to spread.
I'm so dead.
The wrong Kennedy got. I'm sorry.
I'm so dead. No. Are you playing? There's a part 2. Do we need it?
The Fifth Amendment says that no one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property unless convicted of a crime. Yet President Trump shut down 3.3 million businesses. President Trump said that he was going to run America like a business. And he came in and he gave the keys to all of our businesses to a 50-year bureaucrat who'd never been elected to anything and had no accountability. They closed down. He closed
don't talk about our
3.3 million businesses with no due process, no just compensation, in violation of the Fifth Amendment. With the lockdowns, the mask mandates, the travel restrictions, President Trump presided over the greatest restriction on individual liberties this country has ever known. He didn't stand up for the Constitution when it really mattered.
Okay, so he's not.
Yeah.
Whatever. Man. It's just no way.
This is what happens. Okay, I don't know why I'm being so generous to this dummy. But when you consider what happened to his uncle and his father, they were both assassinated. This is what happens to the brain of a child who lives and comes through this type of trauma, and now he takes that power, and instead of using that power to heal himself and to heal the system that killed his uncle and killed his father, he's using it to abuse everyone underneath him. So it's a hurt person who's projecting all of his hurt, but it no longer becomes my concern for compassion when this cracker is out here literally doing things that are going to get more people killed. And he's bringing this specifically to the Black community. He brings this message directly to the Black. He's been one of the lead voices that's been sowing misinformation about the vaccine to the Black community, like literally putting money, time, and effort behind it. Robert Kennedy Jr. did that. So I understand his brain is broken because of what they did to his family, but don't use your power to hurt more people. And that's literally what he's doing.
Yeah, I think, and if we can just pivot right here, people who are using power to hurt people, let's have this conversation. We're going to pivot right into the culture of things. We talked about this on the last episode, I believe, when we saw the original footage of what happened with Cassie, and we know that's a power play with people like Diddy, people in position, people who have trickled into position of power and abused it in some way, shape, or form, and how they got there. I had to sit down with Olay and friends, and we kind of went through that as well. But I wanted to mention that because you talk about power and how it plays on, how you got there. Because we got to understand how they did get there. As much as we can hate a person, there is something that got them there. And people played a part in it, enabling all those type of things as well. And the person wanting to be, after they recognized their issue, continuing to be evil, choice. That's their choice. And not seeking out the proper help. But I say all that to say, in the recent days after we talked about the footage itself, an apology came out from Diddy, and the apology, if we can actually find it, David, I would like to play that apology so you guys can see what we saw. In the apology that Diddy gave after the footage of Cassie, singer, model, actress Cassie, when that footage came out where we saw her run into the elevator, looks like in what was an escape from Diddy years ago. I believe it was to 2016, 16. One of those years, I want to make sure I get it right, but her running to her escape, not being able to do so because Diddy comes out, drags her, stomps her in the face twice, throws a vase at her. All that can be seen in the video, and that was actually detailed in her allegations in the lawsuit that she did against him. And with that, we saw it did verbatim from what she said to the footage. And him paying them $50K off to buy the tape, and then the tape still leaked years later for such a time as this. But he then went to his social media, and I'm actually shocked that he went to his social media to offer an apology. But the apology was for none other than the public, and not exactly towards Cassie. After he did the apology, what happened, what we saw was a lot of people coming in. I think his lawyers or his representation was saying he can't say Cassie's name. I'm like, is C her name? Is the woman I was with, the woman involved, her name? There is ways around that. So him apologizing to the public who just found out about this, and him apologizing to Cassie is two different things. Also, let's not forget when the video came out, he said that it never happened. He said the allegations were untrue. The truth will come out. Everything she's saying is false. And highlight this keyword here. He stated it was a money grab.
Oh, he said, I didn't hear that
part. His
wow.
lawyer said it was a money grab. Yes, they did. If it was such a money grab, why did you settle immediately the next day out of court? So let's take a listen to the apology, and let's see.
Somebody say he looks like he's in a nation that we can't extradite him.
Oh, they said that he's giving like he's in Bali with Russell Simmons. Let's take a listen.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you got to do that. I was fucked up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, going to rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Our chat room is off the chain.
It is. Look, every single chat that's connected is off the chain. It's crazy.
My God.
Yeah, seeing that kind of triggered me. It made me sad, not for him. It made me sad for every woman who experiences a man like this. And I am somebody who believes that I'm not the author and creator and the person that's going to literally tell you that you don't deserve any grace or forgiveness. But there are people that we have to know the difference with. People who have hurt you, hurt people, hurt themselves, and are actually doing the work, not waiting until they get caught. After it's one thing when they say, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Come on.
When you know, baby, it's up to you. And you knew time and time again were countless stories and things that come out about how you abused your power. When people have told you you're doing this, you've done this, you were hurting people. And all of a sudden, now when the footage comes out after you said it wasn't real, the stories will, if you go on his page, it still says the truth will come out. That's still on there. It literally says that you have stated that you didn't do those things. Then this is just a piece, a little bit, 5%, maybe 1% of what was said that you did on video. And it came out detailed exactly the way what we saw was detailed exactly the way Cassie said it. And you said it was a lie. But I say this to say, you're not the person that people should go ahead and say, oh, let's forgive and give grace. I believe, but that's not me. I'm not God. But for me, I say that because there are people who are evil like that and continue to do the evil until they are placed in front of a camera and they are realizing this can affect everything that I've sold my soul for, that I've been so evil for. This will affect every single thing. And now I got to jump on camera and give them something that they were waiting for. And it's something that I'm saying, and it's apology, and it was PR.
Yeah,
because it did not give remorseful. It got, damn, I was caught, and I was messed up. I can say, yes, you were a very effed up person at that time, but you continued to do that. And this wasn't the only person that you did it with. And people have told you how effed up you were. There are other instances. Shaka Khan's daughter went under his apology video.
Yes, I saw
and
that.
Stated, she's like, I remember when you were cursing at my mother and you walked into my mother's face and you were cursing her out. And my then 19-year-old brother came up and like tried to protect his mom. And you got your security guards to beat that boy so badly. And you went on about your business because that's how you abuse your power. So to see this, how you can talk to women and verbally abuse women, and now it's out that you physically abuse women more than a few accounts online by people that you work closely with have stated that you are this type of person. Even a woman that you share a child with has put out online that she knows you need help and hope that you get it without detailing what happened with her. So everybody can't be lying, but hearing it and seeing it brought me to a triggering place. You know, I've witnessed that physical abuse. I know that it could be a cultural thing. I know that it can be so many different things that people will say it's okay. But now we're at a stage, I'm like, we should be able to have these conversations and say these are not okay from the hands of a woman or the hands of a man. The patriarchal system here will try to give excuses to why this person is like that. Why did she wear that? Why did she get out like that? That's what he said. Time tells the truth. But why is she like that? Why did she stay? What does she really want? Why did she never go away?
What did she wear? What was she wearing?
What was she wearing? The domestic violence counselor was with us. He happens to be Haitian. And you guys will watch this on the Ole and Friends episode that drops this Sunday. But a domestic violence expert was with us, and he said, that getaway, that moment that you're getting away, the in between that time is when that person is trying to figure out if this person trying to get away and finds ways to bring you back in, and you are trying to save your own life. The planning of the getaway is literally you trying to save your own life. That day did you decide to leave? You may not. He says people sometimes don't make it. They go get the restraining order, and where they have to go to court together, they often don't leave the court parking lot because the partner kills them in the court parking lots. That's more often than what you know. And that's what the expert was talking about, dealing with a lot of DV, domestic violence cases. And this is one of the all-time scariest things, not just to see because at a celebrity place, but in the where the people have so much power.
That's right.
Where they have so much power and money to try to make things go away, and you have no voice. And when you do speak out, they if it was such a money grab, she wouldn't have settled out of court. She would have pushed for more. She would have did everything in her power. She just wanted to tell her story, get that out there, because she knows that there are other people that this will happen to under Diddy. When I go back and I look at Young Miami's tweets, somebody put this in perspective. When I go back and I look at Young Miami's tweets, where she was going back and forth, and I believe it was with one of Diddy's, his latest relationship with the mother of his youngest child, Love. And what we see there is Young Miami responding and said, one time she tweeted this out, Diddy would have had you on your knees eating my whatever, whatever it was, but something aggressive and over sexualized. And I'm like, now seeing that, and it's like, I'm pretty sure Young Miami knows what Diddy is capable of. The power, the aggression, utilizing sex as a weapon. And using his power, weaponizing that against women, putting women against each other, trapping women, all because of his fear of rejection, and all of these other things. And people allowing him to be this powerful is also problematic. Let's go into the Christian aspect of it, and I'll give it to you, Ben. He says, I want to search for God. And this is my problem with that. You went straight to the blackest. Kanye did this too, and not because Kanye was abusive, but he needed the world to accept him again, some place where he can lean his head against. And what people do is go straight to the church, the black church, and they went to who? Bishop T.D. Jakes. They went straight to Jakes, right? And T.D. Jakes made it so much so that he allowed P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs, Love. He allowed Puffy to make it a whole televised situation. This is my mentee. I am his mentor in Christ. I don't know, seen T.D. Jakes televangelize and all these things, and I ain't never seen him do this major rollout for a mentee and go to his parties where there is all things where T.D. Jakes is telling us not to be at. It was very confusing for me. But it goes to shows power moves. And then being in the church and being accepted wash away his sin, where he doesn't have to necessarily repent. He just has the biggest Christian black bishop in this nation right here on his side. So if he has him and he has the church on his side, then how can he not win? And his sins are forgiven. But my thing is, he wanted to step in the place of God. He being Diddy. And I've said this countless times. Y'all got to look at how he changed his name to Love. And then attach himself to the church. And biblically, because we saw Kanye do this as well. Kanye literally attached himself to the church, took the church, made it it's like I said before, years ago, church is kind of culty already, but took the church and put it in more. They're wearing a unison color. They're on the mountain. They're outside of the church house itself, and started going out to far away lands. It's giving where the people drunk that Kool-Aid, remember? And it was giving that. You have that longing for power. And when you can't have it over here, you're going to go where you're accepted, to vulnerable people who are naturally prone to feel like he sinned. So many people in the Bible have sinned. People in our own lives have done the darkest things, but they're our family, they're our friends, and we want to forgive them. So he went over to the church where they know that comes naturally. That's what Kanye did. And Diddy did that. And that longing to get that power back, to get that acceptance, that repentance from people where he doesn't have to do any work, because that's what you need to do is work. And he didn't want to do it. He wanted that easy forgiveness. And he used his power. He used his money, and he attached himself to the biggest bishop. And he changed his name to Love, because biblically, God, the definition of God is love. And Diddy changed his name to Love, wanting to be the highest. To me, this is my breakdown of it. the untouchable, wanting to be that, the highest, represent that. He wants to be God himself. And in his, in his power, how he addresses people and how he believes that he is God. We've seen him for years on television. And sometimes it would make us uncomfortable to the fact of these people. And yes, it was entertainment for us, but for them, like just have build people up to break them down. We watch him do that with countless people, bands that he created, where he builds them up to just break them down and never speak to them again, never give them anything. Then what he did with Shine, where he had to take the gun charge for Diddy, stay in jail, and then be extradited to a country that he didn't know for a while, and head back over there and relive his life. So what he did there, Diddy has done a lot to people, different bands, how he's talked to women, and from the stories that we've heard that we didn't get videos of in his previous relationships with his children's mother, and that's mothers, and that's what we're just seeing, and his longing for younger women and to have them for such a long time, and then they finally break free. That's their stories, and when they break free, they're thriving in such a different way than they were with Sean Puffy Combs, Diddy Love.
Rebecca, I just got to go back to the fact that he had the unmitigated gall, the caucasity, because we don't do this in the Black community, to run up on Shaka Khan and say very negative thing to her. Now, I'm not lifting Shaka Khan up as an idol. I'm lifting her up as a Black woman who has done amazing things in the very industry that Diddy was coming up in. The lack of respect that he had, to the point where he had her son beat down, that shows me that it wasn't about him being a hurt individual. It was always about the fact that he got some power, and that power convinced him that he was somebody more than he was. He really believed that he was some type of Black musical messiah, and that gave him the right to do and speak and treat people any kind of way. And what does it do? Especially in a nation like America, let's be real, this planet, I can't even just say America. One thing this planet does is sexually assault, full stop. That's what it does. It does it to children. It does it to women. It does it to men. And it definitely does it to anyone who wants to get a piece of that pie, wants to get a piece of Hollywood. You're going to have to put out some stuff that you don't want to, because that's how the entire system is crafted. Diddy got a lane in that space. He got power in that space. He got authority in that space. And what did he do? He just, he destroyed so many people, every person that came in contact with him. When I was reading Mace's book years ago, like this was back when I was like not even out of college yet. I was like, well, God dog, I'm kind of glad that I never got a chance to actually work with Diddy. Because I to have your entire life change into something that you don't even recognize. And then the next thing that Mace said was that he committed every sin possible while he was working with Diddy.
Okay.
Every sin possible. I mean, I'm gonna take the man at his word, and I don't even care about all the sexual sins, like every sin, Mace. And he had to escape himself.
Okay.
So it wasn't just the sexual abuse towards women. It was a sexual abuse towards men. It was a power play. And the sad thing about it is that spirit ain't going nowhere. It's still in some of those power players that got power right now.
Yeah, that's good. You really went to a point that we're gonna pivot. We're gonna keep rolling through. We're gonna roll through. That escape that Mace did is something that I don't think is talked about much, right? To Cameron's point, Cameron, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Cameron, did not touch on this fact. Cameron has a podcast alongside Mace, rapper Cameron, who usually wears the pink, him from back in the day, New York.
I see you, boy.
Yeah. So, and then you got Mace, from back in the day as well, New York rapper under Mace, under P. Diddy. And the Bad Boy crew. And so they have a podcast together. They talk about sports and all other things. And they mentioned this. My camera went out. I'll be right back. But they mentioned this. And so with that mentioning, Cameron was asked to go on. Cameron was asked to go on.
You want me to take it from here?
And discuss it. Go ahead, Ben. Roll it.
I can take it from here. So Cameron, who I generally like, generally speaking, musically and culturally, okay. Cameron got invited to CNN to speak with Abby Phillips. Now, you're going to watch this clip and you're going to see the same, to me, Rebecca, the same level of casual disregard for Black women. I got to contextualize. I know there's a lot more that's going on in this clip.
We can go. That's where we're going. That's
okay, because the way he disrespected Abby, and don't get me wrong, I'm not like an elitist, but she's so well educated, so well prepared. Yes. So like if anybody, I've watched her career where she was like a reporter on the ground all the way to having this nightly show, right?
So did I.
Go ahead, you got it.
But we're gonna roll this video really quickly, and then we're gonna deep dive into why it's problematic, because people are trying to figure out why there is a connection to when men in power in hip hop or any entertainment space talk to women like this, and why it's problematic to do so. We're gonna definitely delve into that, but let's take a listen to how the interview went.
While he works with them new teeth.
And CNN needs to stop bringing people onto their platform.
First, when you saw that video of Diddy, Cassie in that hotel, did you recognize that Sean Combs?
What I want to say, first of all, when I seen the video, everything in the video is egregious. I'm against. I don't support all the charges that's alleged against him. I don't support any of that, trafficking minors, domestic violence. I'm totally against it. So when I seen the video, yeah, I was kind of upset with it. Being that I know him, he's not necessarily a friend, but yeah, I was upset when I seen it. But
did you recognize
everything
him?
I just said?
Did you recognize that kind of anger at all from your experiences?
I don't know like that. What do you mean? Do I be recognized? Did I recognize him? I seen him. What do you mean my experiences? I seen him and I thought it was disgusting. I didn't do a zoom in to see if it was really him or nothing, but he admitted it was him. So yeah, it was him.
What did you think about the apology that he gave in that other video?
Ain't me for this. The apology ain't for me to decide, for Cassie. What I think about it don't matter. He ain't do nothing to me. Cassie need to ask Cassie if she accept the apology. I told you how I feel. I said what I said.
I want to play a conversation that you had on your podcast back in September with Mace. Listen.
Yeah.
When you had your record deal, why did you take me to Biggie Smalls and not Bad Boy?
Man, it's almost gonna bring me to tears to say this. I just, being that I saw you as such a good friend, I wanted to put you with somebody I knew with.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. A lot of people ask me that on Instagram, man. Don't have me just out here crying and shit, man. I don't want to get emotional in here, man.
Instantly, I knew Biggie would do right by you.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, is there something known in the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint. I'm just going off what Mace said. Mace took me to Biggie. I don't really know Puffers like Mace know Puff. So I appreciate what Mace said. And of course, that's my brother. So if he felt that way, then he felt that way. I can't really tell you how Puff moves or anything like that. Mace may know better than me because he was signed to Puff. I wasn't. But my show does come on at 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. It's called It Is What It Is. And y'all make sure y'all check it out. I mean, I might get some more information out of Mace from there. But for me to tell you how Puff act and all that, I don't know. I never was signed to him.
Yeah. What about the industry in general? I mean, so many people have pointed out that Diddy couldn't get away with this stuff if there weren't a lot of people protecting him. Do you think that's the case?
Who the talent agent for this joint? Like, you think I'll be sitting around watching what Diddy do and all this? I didn't know this was a Diddy joint that y'all invited me to. Who booked me for this joint?
All right.
Wow, and I don't be sitting around watching Diddy and all that. Yeah,
Thanks.
Cameron, thank you. Get him on.
So let me say this, right? Let's just watching it back now. It's more stuff. I watched this like 10 times, by the way. Let's start with this point. I want to start with this point, then I'll go into how it's problematic that he's talking to Abby like this. But on his own platform, he was doing essentially what Abby was doing to Mace, right? Getting information and asking Mace, why was it that you brought me to Biggie instead of Diddy? And there's a personal connection there. Mace was like, it's going to make me tear up. Even Cameron himself said, this is going to make me tear up because you understood I needed to be in a safe space. And the person that Diddy was not safe. And she, because of that moment, she felt like, man, just knowing that just having that, be acknowledged in the moment and it be an emotional place for you. That's why we calling your ass up over here at CNN. We wouldn't just be calling anybody up. And let me tell you something, because I know how mainstream media works. For a short interview like this, where we're just bringing you on for 3 to 5 minutes, we're going to go with questions that we've already made you privy
already asked.
We're going to have that in the email, especially for somebody who is a public figure. There will be no way that we're just bringing you on to blindside you. In a sit-down interview for 60 minutes, 30 minutes, yes, we will do follow-up questions. We will start bringing things out. We might blindside you here. Yes, in those longer conversations. But you will have, even then, you will have an idea. But in a 3 to 5 minute where she has to hit these questions to get to the next segment, those questions were in his email, I assure you. What Cameron was trying to do was go ahead and recreate that viral moment that he did years and years ago when he was a young thing, where he did an interview, I forget what network it was on, and everybody started saying, you mad? That coined the phrase, you mad because Cameron did that. Now, I will say, with Cameron would have never allowed anybody to come on his raggedy ass platform. And I can't say it's raggedy because it's doing well, but I'm gonna just say raggedy for the, for this episode, right? Nobody to come to his platform that he has with Mace and disrespect him like that in any way, shape, or form. He wouldn't have allowed that. Now let's roll it back to the conversation being about Diddy. Diddy, who was an abusive man, who talks to women disrespectfully.
Come on.
A black man who talks to the women disrespectfully and all of those things, and they want to say they bringing a black man down, whatever the case may be. All right, now you're also a hip hop artist, known in this community, known when Love and Hip Hop first came out, and you had your woman named Juju. Let's not forget, and you verbally abused her online many a time when she tried to say things, and you would go back there and say, let's not forget who gave you that BBL, who paid for your, calling her out of her name, bitches, hoes, whatever you can say, and people alleging that you were physically abusive to her, even on the show. So that's already in your history and your repertoire. And now you're on this show where we're talking about a man who is being specifically sexually abusive to women. And you're going to sit here and talk to a woman on this platform
about getting some cheeks
at her job and disrespect her as she's doing her job, as if she forced you and dragged you here by your ear, dragged you here by your arm, where you could have declined. And you are going to take a sex stimulant after seeing a portion of where she replayed back a portion of your interview with Mace, where you said it was an emotion that, wow, that's going to make you emotional, knowing that Mace was trying to save you. And that's what she's saying. Well, how does that make you feel to know that, there was somebody looking out for you? And here you are taking a sex stimulant with your little raggedy fingers shaking. So maybe that stimulant has issues, but taking a sex stimulant on air, when we're talking about a man who's sexually abusive to women, taking a sex stimulant while this woman is talking and saying that you're about to go get cheeks. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's really disrespectful to her, who now has to figure out a way to keep her composure and continue on with this interview and not be disrespectful to you. And what you did, Cameron, is instead of saying, because his response was, he came out with a response like, oh, how I seen it was, why they ain't asked me about Mace? I wanted to go up there and talk about positive stuff. Mace out here feeding the kids. And I said before, I don't think he said feeding the kids, but Mace out here talking to kids every day, giving them love. Every day at 5 p.m., Mace talks to the kids. How about you could have said, you know what? I don't know exactly for Cassie's case, but I do know that I'm close friends with Mace, who I do have a show with every day at this time. And what Mace has taught me is that he got out from under, like you were stating, Ben.
Yeah.
Mace got out from being under Puff, from being under Sean Combs, from being under that power, the abuse of P. Diddy. Mace got out, and this is what he did when he got out. He told a story and he changed his life. That's what he could have been talking about. That's what I want to focus on. And Cassie now is a story just like Mace, what I can see, where she got out and she was able to tell her story and have a life for herself. Because that's what he said. He was trying to correlate the two. You could have did that on air. You a man pushing 50, if not already at 50, and trying to play 21-year-old games. We're not there anymore. This is a serious matter, and you actually brought it up on your show, acting like you didn't want to talk about it on this platform when you knew you were coming there for a Diddy conversation, because I don't think CNN would just tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, let's get Cameron on here. There was no reason. So you already knew what was up. And you could have definitely taken that, and whatever you were saying, I would have accepted it. What he was saying after the fact, he should have said on the show. And there is an option to decline.
Right.
There's an option to decline. And I'll end it with this. CNN must be stopped in booking these different rappers every single time. Because remember, where I got when they were speaking to Glorilla about politics, and Glorilla was like, at the end of the day got to end. Great. It's funny. It's entertaining. But it didn't do anything for why. Because remember, Sexy Red was on somebody else's podcast and they asked her, what do you think about Trump? And my good sis said, oh, he gave me money during the pandemic. Right. I F for Trump. He funny.
That's right.
He funny. Yet she doesn't understand why her baby daddy's still in jail is possibly due to Trump's laws. Let's be effing for real here.
How, Cam, what you need a sex stimulant for, bro? Just it completely immaterial, but like, ain't he younger than me? I digress.
He's not younger than you. He's pushing 50, if not already at 50.
Yeah, nah. There's still a whole breed of men out here who we don't need sex stimulants, Cam. But to the real point, CNN they definitely got to stop doing that to Abby specifically. I know Abby that you have very limited control over your production and your team, especially when this is your first show. But you know, them continuously booking rappers who have nothing to contribute really is a reflection of CNN's racism. I'm sorry. Why y'all booking these rappers with Abby? Abby is sharp on every issue from geopolitics to the economy, but y'all put her with the rappers who have nothing to contribute. Not even the smart rappers. Cam. And here's the thing, like, Cam is smart until you start talking about women. Like, what there's this thing that happens in the mind of a lot of men. I don't know how many, what percentage, probably a lot of us. But I saw in that interview that he felt the right to talk to Abby that way and to get aggressive with her because he didn't like the line of questioning. I doubt he would have done that with a man. And I definitely know he wouldn't have done that in person, in an in-person interview, not pushing 50 and he needs a sex stimulant. Like, you're not the aggressive killer. You're not Killer Cam, right? You're aging Cam. You're middle-aged Cam. And so he's expressing this Killer Cam-ism towards Abby. At the same time, he's admitting that he can't get it up. At the same time, he's admitting that he does not have the brain power for this conversation. He doesn't want to lend it. He doesn't want to bring it. Why? Because he feels like he can talk to Black women this way. And that's the thing that really bothers me. And I honestly hope, I don't know, have they had shows with Mace since this, but I really want to hear what Mace has to say about his partner who did this to a Black woman, right? And did it, Rebecca, thank you for pointing that out. He did it simultaneously as they were talking about domestic violence and sexual assault. Like, you really have gone to the place where you not only don't care about this issue, this specific issue with Cassie and Diddy, you don't care about the entire rape culture of this country. You don't care about the problems that you don't even care about this very sexual assault accusations that he brought up. Like, I thought the conversation was going to get interesting because he brought up the sex trafficking, right? He brings up these things and then he immediately goes to the persona that is complicit with sex trafficking, to the persona that's complicit with attacking Black women, with the persona that really fuels all of the lies and all of the ways they dehumanize Black men. He leaned in, and he leaned in on CNN for the entire nation to look and say, oh, look at this nigga.
Yep. And I mean, it's so funny. Like, even this Black man is saying that Diddy didn't do any wrong. I mean, like, so that's what they're perceiving. Even though he said in the beginning, it's egregious, right? And egregious means that thing is terrible. It's nasty. It's disgusting. But then to move forward and be like, who booked me for this? But yet you were stating that you got emotional because Mace, on your platform, that Mace protected you from that man. Then you get on here and act like, I ain't here to talk about this. You should have declined to answer. You could have even declined, and it would have been well respected by the host, by the news anchor. It would have been well respected. I declined to answer that. But what I do want to speak about is this. But to talk about your sex stimulant and say, I thought I wanted to go and promote. You are literally pushing 50 and you acting like a little boy on TikTok. Viral moment. Clout chasing. New teeth,
you know,
and then he said it actually did good for him. He was basically boasting about how that did good for him. And everybody like, y'all know who Cam is? That's the problem. Y'all know who Diddy is? Y'all know how Diddy is? Y'all know how R. Kelly is? Y'all know how Epstein is?
Because honestly, Rebecca, truth is, like, I'm not attacking all men. But maybe Cam ain't the best person to be on there talking about abuse, right? Like, if we pull back the covers of the majority of men, like, we all got something somewhere at some degree, some scale, and we know there's a direct correlation between how much power you got and how abusive you become. So,
and you could be at low scale. You don't got to be an entertainer. I know people who have been in abusive relationships, and because that the power that person thought, you know, that the fear they put into that person, they can't do that everywhere in the world, but they're gonna do that with that particular person. And when they feel rejected by that person, they're losing their power. And if that person tries to find an escape, they're losing their power. So to disrespect them, to belittle them, to make them feel small is the number one thing to do and the number one way to go. And what we'll see is, like I said, if you go into his history bag, I'm talking about Cam, who I used to have a crush on when I was a little thing. If you go into his history bag with the woman named Juju, beautiful Cuban, Afro-Cuban.
Yeah.
His history with her allegedly was that he was abusive, way abusive to her. And that's all you need to know. And so CNN, and we can call a thing while calling another thing a thing.
Oh, we can multitask.
Okay. CNN has no business continuously booking these people for this. And then, like you said, Ben, I loved how you eloquently put it, where putting Abby into the crossfire, putting her at the forefront of this type of, because it's a Black man and you think that they can go ahead and
you and I know about that.
You know,
let's make it a little bit blacker.
Right. Then it became because we were wrong when we had that white woman asking Glorilla what was going on with it. She ain't do right. So now let's do Abby Phillips, and to put her out there and to have to make her be strong in the moment where she's probably triggered talking about it. Right. And here she is having to, not by a man she's even with or connected to in any way, shape, or form, belittle her. Talk about sex. Make her, why do they go out their way, these men in power, when they feel like they've been threatened, to make a woman feel uncomfortable? Especially by bringing up sex.
See, I didn't want to, like, David, if we got time, could you run back the very beginning of it where they first started asking questions? Because I think where it went wrong was Abby cut him off. And if I know men like I know men, when you get cut off by a woman in a heated conversation,
when you're this type of man,
one thing I know is that brings out the epitome of your patriarchal, abusive nature. And you can see he went from being intelligent, actually run the whole beginning again, and it happens very early on. But you can see where he goes from being intelligent to being just another. Go ahead, play it.
Thanks for being here. First, when you saw that video of Diddy, Cassie in that hotel,
what I want to say, first of all, when I seen the video, everything in the video was egregious. I'm against
using big words.
I don't support.
Right. Skip a little bit more to
all the charges
Abby's next
that's
question.
alleged against him. I don't support any of that. Being that I know him, he's not necessarily a friend, but yeah, I was upset when I seen it. But
did you recognize
everything
him?
I just said?
Did you recognize that kind of anger at all?
He starts to get crazy
from your experiences.
I don't like that. What did you mean? Do I be recognized? Did I recognize him? I seen
he
him.
starts to get crazy.
What you mean?
Right there. So it goes south from there. He goes immediately from using his big vocabulary words to be, I don't know, man. Then he picks up his comfort blanket, which was his sex stimulant, which I know he might be pushing 50, but there's,
Come on, Ben. You said you just did a great breakdown right there. You talk about me, and that's a great breakdown. And this is the type of man. This is an example of a man. These men who are used to being empowered, and when the woman is in the room, she should respect me as such. And the moment that she doesn't respect me, now I will belittle her. I will trash her. I will make her feel small. She will never disrespect me again. And I will make an excuse when they're asking me about it, and I will say something to make it feel like time tells truth. Time heals all. In due time, y'all will know. And when he gives the excuse, everybody's gonna be like, yeah, that's Cam. Y'all should have never. There are so many people in my DMs when I pointed out how he was wrong for discussing or disrespecting this woman by taking a sex stimulant on air while talking about somebody being sexually abused.
Come on.
And saying you're going to go get cheeks after this. So many men were in my DMs. I kid you not, I can show you. So many men were in my DMs and say, how dare you correlate the two?
How is it not immediately correlatable? How do you know why it's not immediately correlatable? I don't even know the word I'm making. To them, it's because, well, thou dost protest too much. Man, look. If we ever kept it 100 top to bottom with men, there's going to be very few people who can make it out without some level, something in their past. And so it's triggering now to see another woman, black woman, Rebecca Azor, call out the very specific thing that they are themselves possibly guilty of.
Yeah, I was shocked when I said this. And I want you guys to watch Sunday's episode, because having people talk about watching the video and having us actually express that of an experience of our own, even men on there, experiences of their own as abusers. And it's a great conversation, but these are people that never want to get help. They want to continue to be like this. And people in my DMs want to find excuses instead of saying, this is why I am the way I am. And this is what I need to do to get help. The women who were under Cam's thing saying, that's just Cam. That's just Cam. Okay, why are you looking at it that way as well? Because have you been an abuser or have you been abused? There's something about you that looks at this and thinks it's okay, and it's not. Find out the reason, what's going on with you. Because you don't ever want to be that woman in the room, and you probably have been. You don't ever want to be that woman in the room where when you are just trying to have a conversation, and because you accidentally put the wrong size fork on the plate, he tells you to send it back. Don't disrespect him like that in front of everyone. And then when you come back into the room, you're belittled. You're not even acknowledged. You don't ever want to be that woman. But you probably have been. That's why you can look at Cam and see that as probably normal. We got to start talking about it. And I said, one day, I think it's a little tricky, but one day we got to come together as a group of Black people specifically. Because I know white folks got all kinds of excuses and kind of things, and they get, but they get to go to therapy and they got to go. No, we got to come together as Black folks and discuss how these issues, where did it stem from? who needs help and who really doesn't deserve it because they really don't want. There's a difference. And we got to come together and do that, because online we go from canceling to giving them back. Hey, he did that. He was all right with that. Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna cover him. We're gonna be all right. We canceled him, but we gonna go ahead and cover him because he ain't even do that. He ain't even do. It wasn't all that bad. He just was going through things, but he was going through things that he actually, when he found out it was problematic, chose not to get help for. He got the money. He has all the resources to do so, and he chose not to do so. So we gotta come together and learn that yes, people do, because the conversation goes from you acknowledge that you were an abuser. You had to figure out where it stemmed from, and you had to get the help, and that's women and men, and what we've seen growing up, or what we experienced. So go ahead, Ben.
This whole thing, this whole thing, and what you just said specifically, I don't ever quote this brother, which is why I'm laughing, but I got to quote him. Like, as a Black community, Umar Johnson said one thing that's right. Some of these people got to be put to sleep permanently because they're not redeemable, y'all. Like, there are people in our community who have been so programmed by the society in which we live, right? If you want to know the source and the root, see, Black people are naturally, because where we come from, we are collectivists. We are not tribal in terms of tribalistic, the negative connotations, but we have a tribe mentality. And the United States of America specializes at getting that out of you. And so we have a whole generation of people who have no concept of, am I my brother's keeper? Am I my sister keepers? And you know, they ain't got no concept of if I'm my gender nonconforming friend keeper. We got a whole generation of Black folk who have been raised on the very worst of what America is. Right. That's why you look at hip hop is the perfect example. Actually, if you look at the root and the beginning of hip hop, it was nothing like what we got on the radio today. It wasn't even anything like what Killer Cam and them came out doing. Matter of fact, Diddy is one of the flashpoints in hip hop history that transitioned hip hop away from what it was, which was a cultural phenomenon expressing our Blackness and our survival and the way we survive, to being something that feeds nothing but the very worst of American capitalism, greed, and sexual assault and drug use to our community. And now we got a whole generation of Black folks who have grown up on that, through that, and in that. And yeah, if we got down to the root of it, some of them are not going to be redeemable. Some of them are not only not redeemable, but they are a very clear and present threat to our community. Killing kids. Like it used to be the dope boys, you ain't killed grandmamas and you ain't killed kids. Now they're killing grandmamas and they assassinating kids on their knees. Like I never forget covering stories like that out of Chicago, right? And this directly comes from a generation of people who grew up on hip hop music, that all you heard when you cut on the radio was kill, 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 money, hoes, and clothes. Like, that's all you heard. And now all you hear is lean and syrup and people who just killing, like destroying themselves, not only their physical bodies, but now their whole mentality is, I'm going to run up and kill somebody else because they got a chain. I'm going to run up and kill somebody else because they got more views on their video than I did. Like, there's a whole group of folks. We're going to pray for you in the name of Jesus. But if you keep doing this, we're going to have some more things for you, because we got to, Rebecca. If we don't do what you just said about protecting the Black community, well, it's going to keep on going the way it's going.
Yep. If we keep making excuses for people who never wanted to change to begin with, they just needed something to fall back on when people were going to come out with their pitchforks. They needed something to hold on to. And that's the Black church, or Black women who are always covering these men, or even vice versa, or whatever the case may be. We got to know some people are not supposed to be. And some people are the bad apple.
Some people are bad.
Yes. And that's it.
And they choose
your favorite people who can be good here can be bad people,
and they can
be bad people.
They lean into the badness. They spread the evil. They infect other people with the evil. And so now their next Diddy's interns, Diddy's rappers, and his artists, now they're starting to do some of the same stuff that Diddy trained them to do. It's a virus.
It's A major virus. And I think that we're going to start to see more people go down, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, all types of things that we hear about. White people are very much covered. They do all their covering. They go into, like I said, they go get help. They go do all the things, allegedly. And then they get bigger jobs. They are now the biggest in movies. I remember Charlie Sheen, whole Get Up. And that man was paid the most on the show that he was on daytime TV. On daytime TV.
Charlie Sheen.
So we can go in so many different ways, but I want to stick right here. And how you said it, Ben. I love how you put it down with the Cameron breakdown. I don't think I even seen it in that point of view, and how they put CNN is definitely wrong for putting Abby out there to have to constantly, like Black women do, just take on something and be strong.
Look at how strong she had to be. David, please. I'm sorry, Rebecca, but put up Abby at the very end of the clip. You ain't got to see. She ain't got to say nothing. Just pause the frame at the very end and look at how firm and how strong that face right there.
She went through so much. There was a level of feeling like I'm defeated, but I got to pick this back up. I want to disrespect this man, but I don't want that Black on Black situation happening on this platform. I really, really want to go in on CNN right now, but I have a job to do, an hour to go. So I'm going to make sure we go to commercial, cut to commercial, get to the next segment, get through this. I feel hurt. I feel embarrassed. I feel like I'm being made a joke of. My whole qualifications, me as an expert sitting here talking to an expert in the hip-hop community, and I'm being disrespected
in the height of her. I don't even care about profession, but her effort, at the height of her grind, at the height of her putting in her time, at the height of her excelling and achieving. She had to have one of the most composed moments of resilience, because a Black man got on there and decided to act like, well, what they say about
you're beneath me. Don't ever cut me off again. You're beneath me, because that's what it gave. Cameron was cut off, like you pointed out, Ben. Another great point. See, when you watch it over and over, you pick up something else. And I'm like, there's so many things that we can talk about from that video, and that nobody needs to question why Cameron should be giving her an apology. He should have called her on the phone. He should have something. She deserves respect, because Cameron's whole crew in New York is now sitting like, yeah, these bird bitches is da-da-da-da. The whole comment section under his page after he posted his little, not an apology video.
Justification
we don't need any more of those, because those are coming out like freaking Skittles every day, popping up like Pringles. Once you pop, you just can't stop, and they don't come with remorse. But what we're seeing is him coming out with an excuse. Another thing to stand 10 toes, 20 toes down in his actions. And the people in the comment section, a lot of people from where he's from, the people from Harlem or wherever in the comment section, that's just Cam.
Nah, bro.
She deserved that, because why did she question him?
Funny. It's funny that one of the main careers given to Black men to chase after freezes them in their man-child stage. That's just Cam. Maybe that was Cam at 18, but that shouldn't be Cam at 50. But that's the excuse that we give. They really want and expect each of these hip-hop artists to be just as ignorant at 50 as they were at 18. And Cam made sure he filled that bill.
Yeah. Whew. I think we're at the end of the show. We went a little bit over time, which I'm okay with. But I think this conversation needed to be had in more ways than one, because I want people to see how abuse looks, and how people who empower, abuse their power, and weaponize their power, at the littlest instance of feeling triggered. It doesn't have to look like what we saw in Diddy's behavior. It could look like what Cam did on camera. And y'all can fight me on that. But this is what people in power, this is how they are. I've been in rooms with people in power, whether women or men, and I've seen them abusing. I see what it looks like. It's not good. At the moment of feeling like you are being challenged, and that's just a you thing. because I'm doing my job.
That's right.
My tone isn't high. I'm doing it as best. Her tone never changed as he belittled her or embarrassed her. Abby Phillip's tone never changed. And that's often what you see, where we see that so many times with Black people, Black women in power, and how men will always want to humble them. You're too strong. You're too masculine. You're too this. So nobody can say that Abby was too strong. Abby was too masculine. Abby was being rude. Nothing there. Nothing. So they had to go for, why did CNN? And now Abby Phillips, like you said, Ben, is CNN for everybody who was watching. So, but you know, I wanted y'all to see it for what it was. And I'm glad that we had this conversation. And again, Ben, you enlightened me to so much. I hope everybody really watches this episode to really watch this breakdown, because I don't think there's nothing like it on the internet right now. But if you guys have remained here thus far, that means that you liked what you saw.
Yeah.
You love the people that you're watching right now. And what I need you to do is head over to patreon.com/like it or not, patreon.com/like it or not. And please become a patron so that we can keep this show flowing and going and here with you guys. Also, for those who don't know, your girl is out of work. So that means that I need your help. I do, 100%. Not begging, pleading. Can I have some more, please?
Let me do that for you, Rebecca. Is that okay? Because it's easier to ask for other people. Hey, y'all. Rebecca is hitting the stratosphere. Rebecca's on a whole nother level. Y'all been with us this long, and I mean, I don't mean to this episode, I mean for years. You've seen Rebecca go from being sharp to being killer. Support this sister so that she don't have to go back looking for work from these corporations that she's gonna have to expose eventually. Go to her page and go to her Cash App. Cash App, Rebecca, is
Becca's Voice, BECCASVOICE. Becca's Voice on Cash App. I can get it immediately. I don't have to wait.
It's true. Y'all send that sister. Buy her a cup of coffee. I need 25 people in the audience to buy her a cup of coffee. I need 10 people in the audience to pay for a Netflix subscription amount. I'm talking about the amounts. What's that? $12.99.
$22.
And then, how much?
They went up $22.
$22. Okay, good. Even more. So 10 people give her $22, and we're gonna try it. It may not work, but we're gonna try it, Rebecca. And I need like 3 people in the audience who really just got it, and you can just blow it. Why don't y'all go ahead and help this sister pay her car note? Do that.
$315. But but no, that would be really helpful. I want to stay afloat. I've been in good spirits, even though I don't know what the future is going to look like. I'm staying here with y'all. So let's do this. I want to continue to put out great content. I want to continue to be here with you guys on Saturday for Like It or Not. I want to, you guys to see me more on Olay and Friends. I want to be on Leftist Mafia on Thursdays. I don't want to go to the strip club trying to make $1. And I don't, but thank you guys. We've gotten here. Y'all been rocking with us so long. Y'all know what it looks like from 2017 to today.
Yeah.
And we've gone through so many
7 years. I know you for 7 years, bro.
It's so long. Is it 7? I can't do the math. 17 to 20.
Well, 2018, man. No.
It was 17. We left in 2000.
That's right. 2018. Because my son was born 2018, and he was born while we were there. So,
and I remember he was. What was y'all did it while y'all was there, and then because she just found out she was 2 days pregnant.
Hey, like I said, I have no need of Cameron sexual stimulant juice. So,
That's funny.
We don't miss. I try to. We had to say no more. I said, doctor, I have a problem. I get my wife pregnant too often. Can we cut it off? And so we're good now. We good.
That's good. So now everything is good. And your baby is grown now. So
goodness, my oldest is taller than me. And that's not a huge accomplishment, but it's still
it's an accomplishment.
It reminds me that I stopped growing at 12. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I haven't seen them in so long, but thank you. Thank you, Ben, for sure. I love how you did that. That's the preacher in you.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
And I love it. So hopefully it does work. I appreciate you guys thus far. Listen, we got some more great shows coming up for you. So again, support. Especially even though Ben is going to say no because he can't find his phone. When he does find his phone, he'll be blessed as well. That's BPD 2018.
Don't send it to Rebecca today because I'm about to kill that whole phone. Like I'm starting over. Like people can't find me, and I like that.
You like it, but you're looking great. I love what it looks like when you have control over. I'm with my family.
Yeah.
This is my crew. This is all I need right now, and the people I know and love have access to me. Everything. God is not a Republican.
No, I'm going to my baby, my children.
And everything after that, I need nothing. I already been in the world. I no longer want to be in it. I want to do what I want to do, log in and do these shows and go sit my behind down with my family, do what I need to do.
But I do have some major drops coming. The show was so good, I forgot to even mention it. I got some drops coming today, tomorrow, and through the rest of the election season. So while y'all haven't been able to get up with me, I have been working nonstop. Matter of fact, I work more over the last 6 months that people haven't heard from me than I've ever worked in my life. 18-hour days working on this content. So the first little bit is going to drop starting this week, and it's going to start dripping little by little. So thanks, Rebecca.
I love that. I love that for us. Okay. Listen, we're growing and we're growing and we're glowing. All right. I'm out of here. And we do got a producer that I don't want to forget about. That is our producer, David, DKG87. If you're real, if you're nasty, I'm just kidding. DKG87 as well. I love y'all guys. I am out of here. Bubba will be on hopefully next show. He was out today because he was outside last night. That's what he said. So we'll see you guys next Saturday. Love ya. Mwah.
9 years with David. I've been working with David
9 years
for
with
9
David.
years.
9 years with David. I've been with David for, look, David and I, 4 years in this relationship. Only 4. I was 29 when I met him.
Hey, look, David has been one white dude who just called me out of the blue and has been working with me ever since. So for everybody who thinks I'm racist, I have a white friend and his name is
right, because he said cracker a lot on this show, but he got a white friend. Love y'all. Work that we're doing here is not going to stop when it comes to these type of discussions. It's going to be for us and by us here on this platform when the media is telling us to look the other way. Your support is what helps us move forward. Join patreon.com/like it or not. Help us grow.
Like it or not, y'all. 2023. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for Like It or Not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. Yes, it's time for Like It or Not. Rebecca Azor is in the house. You know she got a funny story to tell. Talking politics, culture, or real life ish. I live in life in the ATL. Benjamin, yeah, that's my man.